So I just wanted to start off by saying thank you for your entries, and we hope you'll submit for the future and stuff like that. That'd be really awesome. So how are you doing today, Connie?
I'm doing pretty good. Work has been quite crazy. I was visiting my daughter and grandbaby for like 3 weeks, and so it's been a little bananas to get home and try and get readjusted. So I'm a little tired. I was up editing last night really late, so yeah, a little tired. Otherwise, I'm doing well.
That's good. Okay, so how did you first discover Sims Machinimas?
That's a great question. So honestly, gaming in The Sims, I'm not one of those who's played every Sims game forever. And I played Sims 1 with my kids back in 2000 when they were little. But other than that, it really wasn't there for me. Until a couple years ago, I was just going through my own mental health. I wouldn't say it was a crisis, but certainly my mental health was not in a great place. And so I was kind of hunkered down in this little room downstairs at a beach house, just looking for anything to distract me. And I had been watching YouTube. I was like, well, let's just see what's on there. And the Kelsey and Peachy Kate popped up with the 100 Baby Challenge. Like, what in the world is this? This is the weirdest thing. And it was really weird to me, but it was kind of like a train wreck. You're like, I can't stop watching. So I watched it, and that turned into me being very invested in it. I thought, oh, this is actually kind of cool. And then starting to search for other YouTubers that played The Sims. And then my daughter-in-law, my now daughter-in-law, said, Mom, why don't you just buy it? I'm like, okay, why not? So I bought the game and had a lot of fun with it. And fast forward a little bit beyond that, I like the 100 Baby Challenge. And so I had been watching Claire Chabon, how did she pronounces her name, and she did this thing called My Story. And it just was really captivating to me. You know, she does Let's Plays, but she did this machinima at the time. I didn't know that's what it was. I'd never heard of him before. And she did this machinima thing, and as part of the 100 Baby Challenge I was doing I was in this Facebook group, because, I was like, why not? I thought, gosh, I really want to tell the story of my matriarch in this fun way to this group. I had this YouTube channel I'd started for the heck of it. And I thought, I'll just post one of those story things that she does on there, and that I had been researching and watching little ones here and there. And that's how I was introduced to it. And then I sat down and started writing the curse because it had to make sense. It was like, how am I going to write a story about this 100 babies? That's just weird. So I sat down and wrote the curse, and it kind of unfolded from there. And I think that's how I was introduced to it, and that's how I also got hooked on it. Was I just wanted this outlet to tell my story, and I discovered this thing called a machinima, and the rest is history. I kind of sat down, started filming it, and never in a million years thought people would watch it, to be honest. That was a huge shocker to me, but people started watching, started getting invested. I started making more, and I don't know, it was like something in me just came alive because I had this outlet for storytelling that I had never had before. It was really, really a great experience, just life experience for me.
That's awesome. I hear that a lot. I hear that the reason people get into machinimas and stuff is they want to tell their stories, and that's just really awesome. I love hearing that. Okay, so what's your process for creating a machinima?
Absolute chaos. Can I just say that? No.
Of course.
I'm a super visual person. I'm also the queen of spreadsheets. So I'm just really chaotic when I have my ideas, but then I have to organize them. Because if it's not organized and I can't see it in front of me, I'm too anxious and I can't do anything with it. And so how I do it is, first of all, I'll have a concept for a story. So backing up to my very first machinima, which was the curse. I knew the story because the whole thing was it was silly. Who did my matriarch decide to marry? Well, I already knew. I just had to tell the story and bring in all the characters. And so I knew where I was ending up. So I usually know the core of the story. I usually know how it starts or how I'm going to start it, and I know how it ends. And then just filling it in the middle is the process. For the curse, I had most of it written, but going forward, it became a different process because I actually, for my subtitled series, which is, mostly what I've done, I film and write the dialogue as I go. And so what I'll do is I'll sit and I'll have in my mind kind of what I want the scene to look like, and I'll plug that into my spreadsheet. And then I'll find the songs, and that'll often help give me a visualization of what the scenes are going to look like. I'll also plug notes or any dialogue that comes to me for each scene at the time. Then I'll plug in the links or any kind of music for the copyright music, just anything I need to put in the descriptions. I'll put that in the spreadsheet. And then any links to any builds or anything that I do, because it just makes it easier for me when I post it to copy and paste it.
You build your sets like after you kind of like have like music and stuff figured out and characters and stuff, or?
For now I do. Yes, I would say yes, because once I need to know what's going to go into the scene, right? So once I know what's going to go into the scene or have an idea what's going to go into the scene, then I know what I need as far as sets, and then go into cast. So then the next thing I do is I go into cast and I set up all the characters. Well, first thing I do is I find where the heck did I put the characters, and I move them around to the lots that they need to be in. It's kind of like a Where's Waldo sometimes. Like, wait, where did I put Nathan? Because I don't remember.
Right.
And so I do that, and then I'll go in and I'll set them up with any CC they need, any props they need, anything on their face, set up all of their different outfits that they're going to need, because my goal is to have every outfit there. So when I'm in a pose, all I have to do is MC Command Center, and I don't have to worry about doing any kind of cast while I'm filming, as little as possible anyways. And then I'll make my sets. I'll go into the sets and decide what I need for the sets. Now, if it's going to be a big set change, I'll usually do it just one scene at a time, because I film one scene at a time, edit all the way through, put it into an MP4, and then I put it aside, and then I piece it all together at the end. So usually what I'm doing is I'll go in and I'll build the first set, and then if it's a bigger build, the second set. But if it's just little tweaks here and there, I'll go in and get all of my sets ready for the entire episode. Just depends on how much it is. I'll say that I'm new, very new to voice machinima. And the process is very different, and it's been a learning curve for me, because for me, I go in and like I said, I write all the dialogue when I edit. When I'm doing my subtitled, the dialogue is coming to me as I'm editing, and I'm writing the story as I'm editing. So I'm writing the story as I'm filming, and then I'm writing it as I'm editing. And then, but with voice machinima, you can't do that. You have to have a script. And so script writing for me has been a learning curve. I'm really excited about Poseidon. I think that's been, that was the biggest learning curve for me, and I've practiced on a couple of the other voice machinimas I've done, but it's a different process. So it's kind of hard, because I kind of got into my flow and it threw off my groove a little bit.
Right. Yeah. You also have to like pace the vocals to like the animations and stuff. You know, you don't want to like look too off or anything and all that, right?
Right, like the editing's different. You know, I'm super detail oriented. So for me, I'll sit there and I will obsess over the mouth movements for an hour just to make sure it's as perfect as I can get it, to make sure it matches up as much as I can get it. And so it's a much longer process for the voice machinima. I don't know that I would do it any other way. I don't think I would be able to watch it back if I didn't do that, because it would bug me. Just with my own work, not other people's, but my own work. So yeah, it is a very, very different process. I would say I'm not good at writing scripts right now. I shout out to my voice actors that have worked with me and are very gracious in putting up with my Google Doc. It's a mess, but you know, they make it happen. They're really great, really great.
That's good. So what would you say? What do you plan on continuing with? Do you plan on continuing with like voiceover stuff, or you want to do more subtitled stuff, or both, or what do you think?
Yeah, that's a great question, Mitch, because I've had to think about that. I think, well, first of all, I put that out to my community, and the ones that voted, they wanted both. They wanted a mix. So, and on the other hand, like that, I feel like for me, there's value in both. You know, the subtitled really has this nuance of a visual storybook. And if you like to read, it's great. And you can do more, I feel like, with the music and just with the imagination, because you have to imagine what the characters' voices sound like. And there's this art to it of making the scene really come to life without the voice. How do you make a scene come to life without a voice? And so it has its values, but then it has its limits, right? You have to make sure that the script's on there long enough. I'm the queen of making people speed read, so I really have to watch that. And you don't have the voice, and so it's people are having to kind of go back and if not everybody reads fast, not everybody can focus on those things at the same time, and that's okay. I think with the voice machinima, there's this whole other thing that comes to life. I didn't do it for a really long time because it felt intimidating, but after I did it the first time, I'm like, gosh, this is kind of cool. It's really hard. I don't know, but it's kind of cool. But getting the right actor for the right character is just amazing when you get that and you put the voice to the actor and the music and everything and all the sound effects and everything, and it just comes together. It's just very different. It's really, really, the characters come to life in a different way. And so I feel like, to answer your question, I feel like I'll always do a mix of both, because I can't see myself not doing subtitled series. I just love them. But I also see myself doing a lot more voice as well. I really love working with the voice acting community. I feel like it's a community I missed out on for a while, and I'm adoring all of the ones I've gotten to work with. And it feels like you have more partners in the project, and I love that. And that's the other piece of it. I feel like this whole other part of our heart and soul of our community has opened up that I wasn't connected to before, and that I'm really loving that as well. So I'll keep doing a mix of both.
That's really awesome, especially for me being a voice actor. That's definitely something. That's my goal. For your reaction to all of that was my goal, that you really enjoy the voice acting that's provided and stuff like that. That's very awesome to hear. The next question is, what made you choose your entries? But at the time, you only had the curse, right?
I did. I had Foxbury, but it was really new. And so if I can back up a little bit, the why behind Foxbury is actually season 2 of the curse. But it's a bridge series. I don't think I communicated that well. In my mind, it made sense, but I don't think I communicated. I'm trying to share that more in the description. But when I wrote the curse was never supposed to continue, ever. It ended at the wedding. And about not even 3/4 in, the viewers started to say, so when's season 2? Oh, it's not. So I started to write in new characters, and I started into the curse. I started to write in some foreshadowing. I started to write in some things to continue. I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I knew I needed to start expanding the story into a different way, and that's where kind of the Akron clan came into it. So Foxbury was new, and I hadn't really gotten into the meat of the story yet. And the viewers, those who are familiar with my work, they weren't familiar enough with that to really, I think, make any kind of voting decision or anything that would be posed to them. So I didn't choose that one. And the curse was and will always kind of be just the heart and soul of my whole creative work. It's everything. It's at the center of everything I do. And every story I have that I put out there, no matter what it is connected to the curse in some way. It's that whole universe that is all connected to that one story. And so that's why I chose that. I chose the entries that I chose, that particular episode, because first of all, that's really when the quality of my work started to change and improve. I felt like that's when I had really started to put more thought and the more technical work into editing and filming. And then that one particular episode is really meaty as far as foreshadowing what's coming and talking about what has happened. And so there's just a lot in that episode that is, it just encompasses all of not just the season, but the curse story going forward as well. There's a lot in there. So that's why I chose that one.
Very awesome. I guess that ties in really well to the next question. Do you have a favorite moment from that episode? Favorite scene?
Yeah, there's a few. I had to go back and remember what was in that episode. when I answered
Yeah,
this
for sure.
question. Um, my favorite scene in the whole episode was Jackson relapsing in the abandoned building. That was a big moment.
Towards the end there, yeah.
Yeah, that's a huge moment in the story. That is my favorite scene. First of all, because it really was a turning point in the story, but also that's a scene that I had envisioned when I initially sat down and started writing the story. I had envisioned that. I had the song already planned out, and I was really excited to get to that episode. I think it's like 17 episodes in or something. And at the time, it really turned out better than I even imagined it be. It feels like a powerful scene to me, and I love that scene. I'm looking forward to as I remake it, doing it even more powerfully. And I love it also because it encompasses real life experiences, challenges and struggles. The whole episode does. The whole episode does, just with grief and jealousy, and there's just so much in that. Addiction, there's just so much in that. And then the other scene that I really love is the dream sequence. I love that. That wasn't just in the moment, spur of the moment thing. Oh, I think I'm going to do this. I think she's going to see her dad again, and she's going to have a premonition about this really powerful child that she's going to have. So the dream sequence, I love that scene as well. And that's a powerful scene when if you're connected to the characters. That scene was very powerful to have her see her dad again. Definitely.
I probably said this on the thank you cards or something, but I loved your music choices. And, I almost got choked up watching it because it was just such a great experience watching all these Machinimas, and a lot of them had really awesome music in it. And I was like, I remembered the song. And the first time I ever heard it was when I heard it off your show, and I was sitting there singing to it a little bit, and it was great to rewatch it again.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. Would you say you were happy with the scoring and the feedback from our judges?
So I'll start with an appreciation. I want to appreciate, first of all, how much time it takes to even sit and watch these episodes, to be thoughtful about putting down, your perspectives and your opinions, and then taking the time to share that out to those who made entries. I really appreciate that. I'm huge on, I don't know if you know this, I'm a coach. I'm a mental health coach. And so in coaching, feedback is huge. And, I'm a big fan of feedback. So I really, really appreciate that. And I also know how much time that must have taken you all. So I want to start with that. The other positive for me is just to say that, to that point, I feel like anyone's perspective and anyone's opinion or any of it, all of it really holds value and some truth. There's always truth in it somewhere. And I really keep an open mind when somebody's giving me feedback. I think that's really the best way to receive feedback, right? Because we have to be open to what other people see. Otherwise, we can't grow. And I really appreciated that. And then I just looked for themes of, okay, well, Mitch saw this, and then this person saw this, and what are the themes that I see? And then I kind of compared it to, at the time when I made that episode, what could I connect it to, and then really made those connections for myself. The struggle for me with that wasn't the feedback itself, but I think it was just the process and the timing of it. At the point that I got the feedback, it was kind of not really as relevant as it could have been earlier on, if that makes sense. And what I mean by that is I didn't feel, first of all, that entry was a representation of my current work. Obviously, there really wasn't any way around that. That's just how it landed as far as timing. So it kind of is what it is. So that is one of the things that made the feedback not as powerful for me as it would have been. I also, some of the advice given and things like that were things I had applied already and learned already. And so my process now, it was like, okay, it really validated. So that was the positive. I was like, okay, all right, that's actually a thing. That was something I just did because I thought it looked funky before. So that was actually really a positive, was validating. I think the other challenge that's unclear is whether the judges are familiar with the series as a whole, like the story as a whole, or my work as a whole, past or present. I mean, I'm inclined to say no, just because I'm new, and that's completely understandable. But I wonder, and I'm curious, if one episode is a good representation of an entire series. I'm not really sure how to get around that because, gosh, there's 23 episodes in that series, and if you're judging all of these other things, how is that even possible? So it felt a little bit like what was being judged was that episode and not the series itself. I don't have a resolution to that of how that could improve in the future, but that was just kind of my initial thought as far as one of the grows going forward. Like, how do you get around that? That's kind of a hard thing to get around.
Yeah, I think it's kind of I think Allie kind of goes with the concept of really just emphasizing that this is like our best opinions for this amount of content we have, kind of thing.
Right.
And like, don't necessarily believe that this is the right or wrong thing. Like, not everything is that. It's more advice, kind of a lot of things and stuff like that. And yeah, you're absolutely right. A bit hard to judge for it's since they're not all like movies and stuff. It's not all a single like creation. It's multiple off of your a series and stuff. So
yeah,
definitely
it's like 8 hours of content. Like, who's gonna do that in their spare time? I don't even know. I think I think the only thought I have is possibly if judges became more familiar with the director's work as a whole. And honestly, I'm not saying that because I know whether that's true, but I wonder, having been briefly a judge in something, getting myself familiar at least with bits and pieces of somebody's style, and I don't know, just getting a little bit more familiar with the director and their style and what that looks like might help understand some of the things and might help expand the feedback even. The feedback that's given could be enhanced by being more familiar with the director's style as a whole overall. I don't know how to do that with so much. You need a lot of judges to be able to do that. And so again, I'm going to go back to my very first answer. I appreciate that you all took the time to do what you did, and there was a lot of value in that.
Oh, you're very welcome. It's funny you mentioned that, and it literally just sparked an idea. It might be, I'll ask Allie about this, it might be a good idea to ask for a broad spectrum of the show. Like, you type it up or something, to give to us. Because the thing is that it actually takes like 2 hours for each entry. Like it's taken me 2 or 3 hours for each entry. But yeah, that could solve that, honestly. Giving maybe asking if they want to, if you guys want to, asking for like what happened before episode kind of thing, or arc or whatever.
Yeah, or like a synopsis of the whole story itself, something to help you all understand what you're watching.
Yeah.
Because it could feel like, I don't know what's happening. What is going on? Why is she in pink? What is going on over here? It makes a lot of sense if you watch the story. But to your point, it's just not feasible. You're all busy. We all have our busy lives. And so to have you watch an entire series like that just doesn't make sense. So I like that idea of maybe the directors coming up with something that really helps you understand the story as a whole, like just the synopsis. Maybe some highlights, maybe even, hey, you could catch this in this scene of this episode, just to kind of give you some context or just something. I don't know. I think there's a lot to be said, and some brainstorming y'all could do of just pros and cons of, okay, we could do this, but what are going to be the challenges that are going to come up if we try to do that, and is that even sustainable? So know that I acknowledge all of that, and none of what I've shared so far says that the process that you all went through to take the time to give feedback, that's amazing. So again, I appreciate it.
Oh yeah, definitely. You're welcome. Okay, so what would you say you're most proud of when it comes to your Machinimas?
First of all, I am most proud of how much I've grown and how the story has evolved. And and I spoke to this a little bit, but first of all, the level of technical detail now compared to when I started, night and day. Like, I go back and I watch my earlier episodes and it's just cringe. It's kind of, I'm working on a project that I'll talk to in a minute, but it's kind of like, okay, well, it's not cringe in a way where I just hate it and I want to take it down. I will never take it down because that's where I started, and it helps me see how far I've come. And then I'll look at these episodes and be like, oh, girl, what were you doing? And how much I've grown. But that I'm really proud of the content and how it's even growing even now. Like I said, when I wrote The Curse, I never intended it to continue for future seasons. But now, how the story's evolved, I'm also very proud of, because I was able to take this story that was just this weird, funky idea, because I had nothing left on my bucket list. I need to do something. So I did this thing that turned into this entire story that is now so rich. The characters are becoming so rich that this story, I have it planned out for a couple more years just with storyline. And I'm really proud of the fact that I was able to do that. And so that's exciting. Let's see. And then Foxbury, I was proud of Foxbury. Now, Foxbury was like, okay, shoot, I need to do something here. I don't know what to do. So Foxbury was one of those things where I kind of knew where it would end. I didn't know anything else. I literally had no story. I would just jump in the game. I would sit there in front of my computer and be like, what am I doing? The same has been true for The Curse, this season of The Curse. It's now unfolding and I have an idea. But I'm proud that Foxbury turned into being what it was. It was supposed to be a 5-episode miniseries, and it turned into this entire series because it just became this really cool thing, and I liked it. But it's a bridge series, so I was really proud that I accomplished that.
That's good. I hear that a lot. I hear that I have that they'll start out with the ending, and really I also hear that that's really like the best way, because you can, it's like you're like building and stuff like that. And, obviously you don't want to start something and then be halfway and then be like, oh crap, I don't know how to end this, or this is going to end badly because I wasn't prepared for an ending or something like that. So I think that's probably the best way.
Right. Exactly. Now the ending of season 2 of The Curse, I've gone back and forth a few different scenarios, and I have somebody in my community that's fabulous, wonderful, lovely person, and she and I talk all the time, and we just brainstorm ideas, and she throws out the wackiest stuff, and I'm like, that's actually really good, thank you. So that's important too. But I think I've landed on an ending. I think we'll see. Ask me again in a week. I'll probably change my mind.
What would you say you like and dislike the most when it comes to making machinimas?
My favorite part of making machinimas is imagining the stories and then seeing the finished product. So like the music really brings these stories to life for me. They really just, there's so many songs, like in this last episode of season 2 of The Crown, there's a song that I use in there that I listened to I found on YouTube. It just popped up from one of the creators I love on there. And it was like the entire scene unfolded, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I know exactly what I'm going to do. So I love to have this picture in my mind of what I want to have happen, and then seeing it unfold, and it's even better than what was in my mind. It's like, oh my gosh, this is so good. And then I get goosebumps and get all emotional and just have to watch it back 1,000 times. I love that. Love that. I mean, that's the dopamine of the finished product that, gets creators and artists especially kind of almost addicted to the craft, because there's this brain rush that we get to seeing the finished product. It's one thing to be imaginative in the storyteller. It's another to have such an amazing way to release that to the world.
Any dislikes that you can think of?
Yeah, I had to think about this question, Mitch. I think what I don't like is I don't have more time in the day to make them. I wish I had more time. I love it, and I get lost for hours in creating them. When I finally sit down and I start writing or filming and editing, it's like once I get started, I don't want to stop until I see that finished product. Like I'm just going to keep editing until I either fall asleep on my keyboard or I see the finished product. I'm getting better at that and stopping myself, because, I was literally running myself into the ground. I'm trying to have better boundaries with that, but I hate that I don't have more time, because I have an entire and ginormous whiteboard in front of me with so many ideas that I'm going to make happen, but they're not happening as quickly as I want them to. The other challenge at times are the limitations of the game. So on the other end of that, I have these things in my mind that I want to see happen, but I can't because even the best animators out there, there's not an animation that'll do it. And I'll just scour and look and look and look. And so I've gotten really good, I think, at piecing together animations and having an animation that kind of gets it and then putting the camera in the right place so that you don't see what the animation's actually doing if it doesn't fit. But so I've gotten better at that, but I think that's probably what I dislike the most. And then the other thing I dislike the most are the darn pop-ups that yeet you out of tab mode. When you're in the middle of filming a scene and I just want to throw my computer out the window, and I still haven't updated my game because I can't imagine being happy with that happening more now. So I don't like it. Do not like.
That's interesting that, almost every Sims director says editing is like something they really dislike, but it sounds like that's something you seem to enjoy and kind of you want to put a limit on because you overwork yourself a little bit. That's crazy.
I do. I love editing. I love editing because that's where the scene comes to life. I don't hate film. I'm neutral filming. I mean, it's fine. It's kind of cool because I know I have to do it and I'm excited once I can get into it, know I'm doing it. It's one of those things like, okay, let me get this done so I can get into editing. Love editing. That's where the story's written for me. Most of the time. That's where I'm in there and it's coming to life for me. It comes to life, first of all, in filming. And I'm like, oh no, I need to do this. I should add this. That's where I like the subtitled because I have the freedom to do that a little bit more quickly. Then getting into editing and then pulling in the music and then listening to the music with the footage and then getting the right things at the right time and having them just hit that right spot in the song where it's like, oh my gosh, that was so cool. And then bringing in the sound effects and everything and then just playing it back. I just love it. I get all nerdy and I just have so much fun with it.
Okay, so it seems I forgot to give you this question, but it's a pretty easy one. Do you have a favorite character from that episode or your show in general?
Yeah, everybody knows I love Amelia and Nathan. They're my heart and soul. They're the heart and soul of the Mom Cave. And they're one. They are one and the same. They're just they were until my last episode, but we don't want to talk about that. Nathan is probably one of my favorites. Akoni is another one. He wasn't in that episode though. In that episode that I gave, Nathan is my favorite. Nathan and Em together are just they're my everything. I love them. I love their story. I love their love. I just adore them so much. And so the things that I'm doing to them in this series is hurting my heart just as much as it's hurting everyone else's. Please, I hope everyone hears me say that. Turn that up.
Oh, they're the two laying on the bed together, right? In that episode.
Correct.
Yeah. They're super cute. Yeah.
They are. So what that scene was is she was abducted and he rescued her. And so I think that's probably another one of my scenes because it really shows how tender he is with her. He's this big, very powerful emperor. He's a vampire. He's very powerful. He's very strong. Oh. But he's also got this sweet, tender side to him. That he just this soft spot for Amelia that if he has any weakness, he has no weaknesses except for her and his family. And he just loves her so much. He's never loved anyone before, and he just loves her so much. And so the only thing, he's pretty calm and collected until you mess with his family or Amelia, and somebody abducted her. And that was after he had rescued her. And then in that he found out in the episode before that she was pregnant with his daughter. And so it was just a really, really tender moment. Yeah.
Do you have any current goals or plans for the future with Sims Machinimas?
How much time do we have? Because I have a list.
Oh, do you?
So you should see I had somebody reach out and say, hey, let's collab. I'm like, hey, no, let's not. That's a no for me. You should see my whiteboard. I have a lot of plans. So we're still in the thick of season 2. I'm not sure how long it's going to run because the story's still unfolding. And I'm kind of in that place where I don't want to move it along too quickly. So it's kind of that tender place in the story where I don't know if I'm stuck. I think I'm unsure. So the Curse season 2 is still running, has a ways to go. I have the next series that came out of Foxbury, which is another subtitled series called Kings of Industry. And that'll come out early next year. I pushed that way out because I just have been really busy with other things going on in my life. So that's called Kings of Industry, and that's continuing the story of Wyatt and Brooklyn, which was the other storyline. There were like 2 main storylines. Wyatt and Brooklyn's story will continue in Kings of Industry. I'm super excited about that. I have so much for that in my head already that I can't wait to film. And then on December 31st, I am working on Poseidon, which is the full feature movie I've been working on since April. It's been a long time getting this thing out, but I feel confident that on the 31st it'll be a 3-part because it's such a big movie. So Poseidon is coming out on December 31st, the first part, and then the other 2 parts will come, a couple months after that. I hope to get a teaser out soon, but we'll see how that goes. I also have 2 projects I'm working on with Menser. We're remastering The Curse season 1 to be a voice machinima. That's been quite already. We're only, I think, in the second or third scene, and we're already like, wait, is this even going to work? I don't even know. So we're working on that. We'll be putting out a casting call probably early January. I was hoping December, but I might need to move that out. And then we're also working together on a feature film called Finding Jonah, which is really going to be a story about a character whose story needs to be told and finished, while also touching on mental health. So I'm really looking forward to that. Late next year, I'm planning season 3 of The Curse. And then I hope to do, a couple more small voice machinima with my Storytime with Mom series, because that's been a lot of fun. Crisis Barn is the most fun I've ever had making machinima in the last almost 2 years that I've been doing this now. The most fun I've ever had. The characters, the voices, I just loved it. So I hope to do a couple more of those, but we'll see. Plus other things, but I have a list.
I tell you what, that's an impressive calendar.
Yeah, thanks. It's stressing me out, but it's okay. It's all good. I think for me, it's just pacing myself. That's what I'm learning. I have a lot of ideas. Some of the things I have for maybe later, we'll see. But it is possible. I don't think everybody needs to be as wild with doing 5,000 things at once. But for me, it works. And it's possible. It's possible for me to get this done because I just have to compartmentalize and stay organized. And if I can do that and then push things out if they need to go out, it works for me. I just learned to be flexible and kind to myself.
But Poseidon, was that originally supposed to be a movie?
Yeah, it was supposed to be a movie. And so how that started is somebody from this other machinima community reached out to me. They had reached out to me last year, and I just like, who are you? I don't know who you are. No, I don't want to be in your award show. I don't know who you are. It was weird. I was new to the machinima community. I'm like, go away. I don't know who you are. But then he kept reached out to me again and just say, hey, would you ever think about doing a voice machinima? And at that point, I was like, it's one of those things that I've always been afraid of doing. And what better thing to do than what you're afraid of doing? So I leaned into it and I said, you know what? I don't know how to do one, but sure, why not? And I was visiting my daughter at the time. They live up in Seattle. And so I was visiting them at the time. And I was just nerding out about it with my son-in-law. I was like, you should do something like something from Greek mythology. And he said, what about Poseidon? And then he actually helped me come up with the story concept. And then I sat down with Oak Sim Studios, and he helped me write it. The movie, this other person helped me figure out how to use Casting Call Club. So it was cool. I'm glad I did it because that gave me the courage. That's why I started the voice series Storytime with Mom. And I did it just so I could practice on something that was just kind of fun and dumb, and it turned out being more fun than dumb, I think. But yeah, it's 3 parts because it's so big. It would be too big of a movie to put as just a full feature.
So it worked out good, right? Yeah.
It did, yeah.
So, how did you feel about your experience being a contestant in the Plumbbob Awards? And did you have a favorite aspect, or was there anything that you didn't like about it?
Yeah, I think this is an important question right now. I really do. I need to answer these questions in reverse.
Sure.
I do. And
Sure.
how I'm answering is not pertaining to this award show per se. The best, most gracious way for me to answer the second question, or that second part of the question, is to say just my own personal experiences with awards this last year has been anything but positive for multiple reasons. It really wouldn't serve good purpose to go into detail, and there's a lot of reasons why I wouldn't anyways. So I'll just leave it at that. But it's just not been a good experience for me for a lot of reasons, and not just me as a director. It had nothing to do with winning or not winning or anything like that. It just was, it just was really personal, and it just wasn't good. So I'll just leave it there. So I think that what happened for me when the Plumbbob Awards came back around, I was pretty jaded at that point, just in general with the concept of awards and in the Sims, the Twitter community anyways, the Sims Twitter community. Just really jaded. A lot had happened, and I just was very jaded. And so because of that, in general, awards, just not a good experience this year with awards. I think the most positive and most surprising thing for me, though, that came out of all of this kind of wrapped that up in a bow and gave me closure, and that was that the community voted The Cursed as best series. I was genuinely surprised, and I honestly didn't expect that at all. I did not expect that, and I didn't anticipate it. I didn't expect it. Like, it was fine either way. But when I found out that's what happened, I'm glad I checked in on I wouldn't have known had I not kind of checked in on the awards ceremony when they said The Curse. I was like, wait, I had to play it back like 3 times. Like, did I hear that right? What? But for me, that was a big moment given everything up to that point, because they're the ones I make the series for. They're the ones who watch and they comment and they support. They're the reasons why I stay up till like 3 a.m. like I did last night to try to get content out. They're the ones that are really finding value in this work that I'm doing, and they're my why. And so just kind of after experiencing what I had experienced, it just felt really good, like really, really good. It had nothing to do, not the award was, I appreciated it, but the message felt really good, because to hear a community that you spend the bulk of your free time supporting and creating for, the bulk of the time I spend in the community is focused on others, and I don't expect anything in return. It's because I get a rush out of doing it. I genuinely do. But to hear the community that you are spending all of this energy to do that for say back to you, we see you and we love you, it was really healing for me. And I was feeling like I really needed to hear that from them at the time, and I did. So that was the huge positive with this. And because of that, the opportunity for me to be able to experience that, I'm really grateful for it. On a selfish level, but also on a community level, because it just really energized me to continue. To be very honest with you, I had gotten to the point where I almost quit everything, and not to be jovially dramatic and all that.
That's okay.
But just coming to that point of saying, am I making a difference? Because if I'm not making a difference, I have other things that I could be doing right now. But it was the boost I needed to say, I am making a difference. People do enjoy this. This is making a difference in their lives. And I know my community, the people that surround me and support me and all of that, they were really supportive during that time too. But this was, it really helped just give a boost at that moment that I needed. That was my favorite part of the experience.
I'm glad to hear that. I'm sorry that past award shows kind of ruined it initially, but I'm happy to hear that your fans, gave back to you. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Very well deserved. That's good.
Yeah, it's everything, right? Because that's why we do this.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Is there anything else you'd like to share, or any questions that you would have liked me to ask that I didn't think about?
I think the one thing that came up for me is I want to talk just really quickly about the magazine because it's such an important project for the community.
Sure.
And I think it speaks to everything else we've talked about, is a community that can come together with something and celebrate each other. And so if I could just share that's purpose, just take a minute to do that.
Oh, we can take as much time as you'd like.
Absolutely. So the heart behind the magazine is that I feel like other creators, builders, people in casts, let's plays, all of that, they're fabulous and they're wonderful and I love them and they deserve a lot of kudos, and I feel like they get the bulk of the visibility, but then you have this whole other just part of the Sims community, and not just on Twitter, everywhere.
Yeah.
And not just Sims, just Machinima in general. And it's all Machinima. The Machinima community is huge. It is enormous, absolutely enormous. And Machinima's alive and well. They're alive and well, and they're everywhere, and they're in almost pretty much every game engine. And it's like we're in the shadows here, and that needs to change. And I think that we have creators. Can I say ass?
Yeah, of course, you can say whatever you want.
I just did, so I'm going to say it again.
Yeah, there you go.
Creators working their asses off to bring this cinematic quality content using all of the Sims engines, where many people maybe haven't even experienced Sims 2. Maybe they've never experienced Sims 3, but we have these opportunities for them to in this really creative way. You have voice talent that are some of the best out there. Like when I need the perfect voice for Poseidon, and I was like, I hadn't found it. I found some great voices, but it just wasn't Poseidon. And so I was scouring Casting Call Club, and I came across this guy named Jet Falco, and I heard his voice. I was like, this guy's like not gonna say yes to me for this little Sims video. And when he did, I was dancing. I was so excited. But we have him, we have you, we have just so many great voice talent out there that needs to be celebrated. We have the animators that are manipulating this very limited game to make it possible. We have CC creators that make this CC that look like real tears and just stuff that we need to make it come alive. And it's like we're a whole, I say it all the time, the Machinima community is a whole ass Spark team. We're everything. We're everything. We're casters, we're builders, we're voice talent, we're directors, we're editors, we're writers, we're all of it, and we need to be celebrated. And so that's just my whole commercial to say that this is not a project for any of us to put on our resumes to make us feel better. This is a project for the community to celebrate itself and to be positive. We have enough negative going on in our community. This is a positive light to be able to say, whether you have 2 views or you have 10,000 views, you're part of the community, and we want to see you. We want to see you celebrated. And so I want the community to know that this is for us, by us, and there's always going to be opportunities to be featured. There's always going to be opportunities to even if it's sharing one feature, if you want to share an article, or if you want to share a Q&A, or if you want to share a tutorial, you don't have to be on the team to do that. Just there's so many opportunities. And even if not, when we share out the magazine, if you could share it and get the word out there so that those who are in that issue get the spotlight, because that's what it's about. It's about giving our community the spotlight. And if the community comes together, we're huge. If we could come together and do that, I feel like it's a start. We're not a huge magazine, and we don't need to be, but it's a start, right? And so I'm just really passionate about it. I'm really excited about it. It's really hard. It's really hard. I've never done anything like this before. It's a lot of work, but it's really important. And so I wanted to be able to plug that so the community knows that's here for them. And I hope they hear that. Can I also say that I'm really proud of everything this community has accomplished? So I do want to say that too. So, okay, I'm done.
No, absolutely. I love the magazine, and it seems like a lot of people also love it, and they especially love that you offered and accepted Sims 2 and Sims 3 creators and all that. And I think everybody really, really loved that.
It's just so important because that's who's making these movies. It's not just Sims 4.
Yeah.
It's not just Sims 2. It's not just Sims 3. The Sims Machinima community is all Sims engines. And we even make space for the 18 plus. We make space for that. Now, we're limited because of contracts and things like that of what we can post as images, but it doesn't mean we can't highlight a creator. We can't highlight their work, because there are people out there that want that need that and enjoy that. And so I think it's important that all of the Sims community as a whole, no matter which game you're using to make your movie, has that opportunity. Just like, as a whole, whether you're a little channel with 40 people or you're a bigger channel with thousands of people, you're just as valid. And so we make space for all of that. And then the voice talent, that needed to be seen too. It's not just directors. Expanding to other engines, just things like that, to really say that the Machinima community is alive and well, and it's huge. It's really big. It's really big. So there's just a lot of opportunity for us to celebrate ourselves and all that we have overcome this year, because listen, there's just been so much crap that has gone on.
Definitely.
That this is time for us to celebrate each other. Everybody can, have that opportunity.
Absolutely, completely agree. So I think this is going to be us closing out of this. Thank you very much for accepting and wanting to do this interview. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I love doing interviews, and this is my first time giving an interview, sort of, kind of.
Yeah.
And so this has been great. If there's any sort of closing statement you'd like to make, you're welcome to do it now.
Yeah, so I just want to thank you for your time. I want to thank the community for voting. I want to thank you for recognizing the curse, and I want to thank you for saying that you love the story and that the story is meaningful to you, because that means a lot. The curse story is everything to me. And so I want to first thank the community, and then also, to everybody who takes time to do projects that is supportive of the community, that's positive for the community, and that lifts people up in the community. So I think that's important, even if it's perfectly imperfect. We're all just kind of people carving out our free time in our lives trying to do something good.